Am I wearing my pyjamas? Of course I am. I'm wearing my pyjamas because I've just got back from college and had a shower because I'm actually in my house alone and no one is in for once, so there's no noise, and I thought, wow, I can actually film with no interruptions. So then I had a shower and I was like, oh, I'm not going to get back in my college clothes because, I don't know, they're dirty probably. I was like, I'm going to have to film in pyjamas. But I have no standards, so it's okay. So this week's video, I just wanted to be a bit more chill. I wanted to relax, not stress about it, and just tell you the books I read in April. So I have 3 here. Not all of them were on my TBR because you find out by watching this channel that I just don't follow rules usually. But I try to stick to them as much as possible. I read 2 out of the 4 books that I said I was going to read, and then 1 book was a spontaneous read because a friend gave me a book and said that I'd probably enjoy it, so I read it because I didn't want to keep the book from her for a long time. And I'm glad I did read it because it was a good book, which I'll get onto later. So if you're watching this video, I don't know if anyone does watch these videos to be honest, you can go get a rug, sit back, have some beverage of choice, and just listen to me ramble about the books I read. So we'll start with the first book I read this month, which was Wranglestone. This is a post-apocalyptic dystopian set in North America, in a national park, and basically the lakes have frozen over, which means that the restless dead, as they like to call it, can cross the river and basically infiltrate everyone in the national park. So it's a survival story. And what makes this different, I'd say, is because there is a gay relationship in there between 2 guys, and it's always nice to see the reputation come through in a dystopian novel. Now, I ended up giving this 3 stars because, yes, I did like the characters, and I really enjoyed the relationship between the 2 guys. And especially because the protagonist's father was so accepting of him being gay and didn't really question it at all, which I'm there for. But the downsides was that the plot was really confusing. I don't know if it's just me, but at most points throughout this book, I completely lost where the plot was going. I was so confused with what was happening. And yeah, it just didn't make me enjoy the book as much as I had hoped for, because I was so lost and confused with what was actually happening. But I'd recommend this book if, 1, you like LGBT plus romance, 2, if you are such a big fan of the dystopian genre like I am, and 3, if, I don't know, you just want to read about a post-apocalyptic society. So yeah, I will not be reading this again, ever, I don't think, and I wouldn't recommend it to everybody, but it wasn't a bad book. Okay, so the second book I read in April is Knife Edge by Mallory Blackman, and this is the second book in the Noughts and Crosses series. So in this one we follow Sephi and Jude, who is Callum's brother, which, you know, you find out what happens to Callum in the first one. And yeah, this is basically a continuation from the first one, and it shows how Sephi brings up her and Callum's child, in a world where it's kind of difficult because she's mixed race. So she's has a black mother and a white father, and so it just shows Sephi's initial thoughts and worries and concerns about raising a mixed race child in this society that this book has created. And yeah, I gave this one 5 stars because throughout the whole book I was so intrigued. I wanted to read all of it at once if I could. And the characters are incredibly constructed. And yeah, I just didn't want to put it down. So I'm so looking forward to reading the 3rd book in the series this month. And yeah, it's absolutely incredible. I loved it even more than the first one. And yeah, I'm so glad I was able to find this series. And then the 3rd book that I read in April was a bit of a spontaneous read, and this one is Call Me By Your Name by Andre Asiman. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So this is a romance which I never tend to read. I usually am put off by the romance genre because it's just something I don't really care about unless it's executed really well, which this book executes it really well. And it also helps that it's a gay romance because they're just better. Like I always say, they're more interesting in my opinion. But this book, the writing in this is so poetic and metaphorical. I love the way the author constructs the sentences and conveys different meanings without explicitly saying what's happening. And yes, there are some sex scenes throughout here which go into quite a bit of detail and are quite graphic, and some may find disturbing or absurd, but I just think it's natural and it's a common thing that partners do in a relationship, so I wasn't bothered by it in the slightest because yes, some of them are a bit astonishing, what things they talk about, but as I said, it's natural and it's the way life goes, so I wasn't really bothered by it in the slightest. And also, I've heard some people say they don't like the age difference because Elio's 17 and Oliver is like 24, I believe. But again, I didn't really see a problem with that because they're both of legal age in the UK at least. Maybe it's because it's America's 18, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I really recommend this if you're a fan of the romance genre, especially if you like LGBT plus romances, and also if you enjoy complex writing with more of a metaphorical, poetic meaning to them, and not just, you know, plain box standard writing. So yeah, I gave this one 4 stars, I've got to say that. But yeah, I think I'll possibly read the second one, which my friend also said they will be giving me, which is really kind of them. But yeah, definitely read this if you're a romance fan. I said this was going to be a relaxing video, but why am I out of breath? Bloody hell, I'm so unfit. Anyway, so that's the end of this week's video. I hope you enjoyed. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new and would like to see more videos like this one. Thank you for watching again, and I'll see you in next week's video. Bye!